Welcome back to another episode of Light Between Us. This is a podcast with no rules, no boundaries, and no expectations. It truly just is. These are unscripted conversations with those I have real relationships with. This is not an interview or an informational podcast, but a podcast of witness to the living example of healing through relation 2 by 2. This podcast is a space for us to meet fully in the present and to allow the miracles, the love, and the light to shine through. A reminder, we do not wake up alone. We remember the truth together, 2 by 2, as the light reveals itself in the space between us. Oh, friends, the day has come. We have Joy in a beautiful conversation where she gets to reflect on the amazing opportunity that she was presented, that if you have listened to any of our past episodes together, most of them include us kind of talking about what this might look like. So today is the day we get to hear what it was like for Joy to get to experience being an extra on The Chosen, being surrounded with just people in such a space of love and gratitude and joy. And then we, of course, dive deep in different areas of constructs and how Jesus's message was just such a clear, simplistic message that kind of blows every other question and chaotic conflict out of the water. This is an episode, of course, that will not disappoint. If you know, Joy and I have this ability to go deep quickly and to just really reflect. Her really coming from a deep understanding of the Bible, me coming from this space of utilizing A Course in Miracles, having some knowledge of the Bible, but a great belief in Jesus and his teachings. And then we are able to have an amazing conversation where we can just, go back and forth and reflect with one another. So do all the things, like, subscribe, turn on notifications. That's the only way this podcast can get out, is for you to interact with it so that it tells the algorithm this is something worthwhile. Share with others. So if you feel that way, please do those things. And here is our conversation about The Chosen.
I feel like I'm back.
Yay!
I feel like I'm back on set when you were like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Not that they did that, but yeah.
Did they snap the things?
If they did, I didn't see it because there was a lot to see. There was a lot to look at. There was a lot going on.
Okay. Well, I'm super excited. Anyone tuning in, if you haven't listened, this is Joyce and I's many conversations. So there's many more with us. Go back. And I think almost since the beginning, here goes my chair again turning, there's been a threat. Well, there's always been a threat of The Chosen. You and I immediately related there. But I think it was the second episode we recorded is when we started talking about how this opportunity to be an extra had come up after the first episode you shared. You didn't think it was ever going to be an extra, something like that. But one of the episodes, so it's been kind of a conversation we've been having, and it happened. And here we are. Yeah. So today we want to hear all the connections, the love, the joy, the chaos, the irritate, whatever came through, whatever the blessings and miracles that being this, brought.
This experience.
Yeah.
So let me first start with, have you been to Utah?
Okay.
Okay.
I've never been to Utah.
Given as adventurous as I feel like you are, it is a bucket list. I've been to a lot of places in the United States. I've lived in a lot of places. I've been to other countries. It was truly one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. And I don't know if it was the area we were in, but we flew into Salt Lake. Salt Lake was beautiful. We went to Park City for a day. We stayed in Provo. We went to this little town called Midway. Everywhere we went, the people were amazing, just kind, genuinely kind people. Number one. Number two, I've never been somewhere so clean. Like at Disney, you're walking around, it's someone's job to make sure there's not gum on the pavement or whatever. I kept telling people this. There wasn't even like a gum wrapper or a cigarette butt in a gutter anywhere. I mean, it is the most pristine, clean, beautiful place I've ever seen. We were driving through the mountains multiple times, and you look at a vista, and it could be mountains that have snow, and then mountains that look desert, mountains that have trees, all in one span. I mean, it's just incredible. And when you're in like Colorado or Canada or wherever, and you see the mountains, they seem so far away. These, you're in them. You literally could touch. So at one point, we were driving back from Park City, and my husband was like, hey, can you drive? I'm not feeling that great. I think the altitude was getting to him. So I was like, oh, sure. Well, we just followed
What
the
is
GPS.
the altitude? Do you know what it was?
I want to say it was like 6,000.
Wow. Okay, 'cause we're at like 1,500 here in Spokane, but nothing compared to that.
And we looked up, we're going to a wedding next year in Switzerland, and we looked up those mountains, and it was like 30 some hundred, and we're like, okay, we're
30
pretty
some
high.
hundred, not 30,000.
Yeah, 100.
Okay,
Yeah,
I thought you were going to say
30,000.
30,000. I was like, oh my gosh.
No, I don't know if I could handle that. So
I don't know where that is, but
it was just, so the weekend started off on such a beautiful note because it was just breathtaking, and my husband and I were like, wow, wow, wow. So that was super cool. And then going into Monday, on Sunday, my husband and I were like, well, let's drive out to where this is because we're super nervous about, don't be here too early, don't be too late, yada, yada. The movie studio is literally in the middle of someone's farm. So I don't know if they rented this. I have no idea. But this studio is always there. They just happen to be doing The Chosen there. So
so it's like an
now-
ongoing movie studio that other movies or shows can record there. Okay.
Yes. So the studio is owned by the Latter-day Saints. And they told the story about they didn't start filming there. I don't think they were filming there season 1. Or if they were, it wasn't right away. They found it kind of
Later.
through divine intervention kind of thing. So, excuse me. So we went out Sunday, took a look, took some pictures, this and that. So we're like, okay, we got this. Let's get up early Monday. Got on all of our garb, drove out there, just smooth as silk. Where to park, go here, go there. A very, very well-oiled machine. So we get in line to go through the security because they're just checking your bags, and I think they wanded us and whatnot. So right away in line, we meet someone from Omaha. And I'm like, oh, what a connection, because I went to high school in Omaha, so we started talking to him. Super nice guy. He had done it 3 different times, 3 different seasons.
Wow.
So we're like, okay, do you have any tips for us and this and that? And then I forgot to tell you this, the night before, we had gone to dinner in Provo. And let me tell you, nothing is open on Sundays in Utah. Like,
that makes
everything's
sense.
closed down. Yeah. I mean, we went into Salt Lake again on Sunday just because we wanted to see the big temple, the big tabernacle. It's closed for renovations, but we could see the outside and do some other stuff. It was breathtaking. I don't care what religious beliefs it was just breathtaking. So we had met people that night, Sunday night at dinner, who had also been extras multiple times. So we were like, okay, do you have any advice? And he said, just follow the rules. Just do exactly what they tell you. So I'm like, okay, we got this. I'm such a rule follower. So back to Monday, we get in there, big giant tent. Everybody's got their costumes on. They're feeding us Chick-fil-A breakfast and fruit and coffee and all this stuff. And then a couple people came out and spoke, and thank you for coming. And then Dallas came out and spoke. And
How many of there was you? How many were there? How many
that
extras?
first day, they said there was like 250 in this
That's not
tent.
that many.
No, it was very intimate. It was very intimate. So we just kind of chit-chatted with people and just kind of met and whatnot. And you're separated into 2 groups, 2 different color groups. And they tell you ahead of time, we could call for one color group, we could call for the other. it's just kind of a play it by ear, but just always be at the ready. So we met people, talked this and that, and then Dallas came out, was talking to us. It wasn't emotional at that point. It was just more excitement. So Mitch is the guy who's in charge of all of the extras. And everybody knew Mitch. He's got a podcast. He's got his own show. I can't remember the name of it right now. Anyway, it's like it's like a spoof. The Office and the Story of Moses, like this, like they break camera and they joke around. My husband and I have seen a couple episodes. It's really good. Anyway, so Mitch in his own right is very talented and like the right-hand man. So he called for all of us. He said, we're calling for everybody. And we're like, okay. So you walk down to the set, and there's multiple areas of the set, but where you sent me the picture where you found my husband and I on Instagram, that was kind of like the main area where everybody was pretty much for those 2 days. And then they would call us back in.
The different small areas.
Yeah, it felt like you were really back in that era because it's dusty and dirty and it's hot and the wind's blowing and you're wearing these shoes that you can feel every little pebble, I swear to you. And I was like, no wonder the Jewish people constantly wash their feet because it was a lot. But it was amazing. I mean, as sore as my feet were and my legs from walking and standing for 2 days, it was so worth it. So we really spent a lot.
Super funny side note while you're talking about that. I'm listening to the book Born to Run, and it's all about how, like, because we wear all these supportive shoes, we've ruined how our body is meant. Like, your feet have more bones and nerves in them than the rest of your body. They're meant to like figure it out, but because we give them all these comfort shoes, like, you couldn't even make it through a day without being in pain. Yeah. But as a kid, if you would have been a kid before we put you in all these shoes, you could have been out there all day with no shoes on probably and been just fine.
Oh yeah, I've heard that same thing about Tom's, where they want to give all these kids in these impoverished.
Oh, I'm the one who told you about that.
Oh yeah.
How it's like our belief that people need shoes, and then it actually ruined their feet, and they didn't have their calluses, and whole long story. Anyway, that was a side note because I'm literally listening to the book Born to Run that talks about how shoes have ruined us.
It's real. I think it's real because now you're so sensitive, like any little.
Yeah, because look at how Jesus, he walked everywhere in like pretty much nothing, like a piece of leather.
It's a piece of leather with some straps on it. Ours were rubber, thank goodness, but I think they're shower shoes in real life. So it was one of these, you just talked to everybody that was kind of around you, and then you got to see kind of it was interesting because people knew each other. Like, they would be like, oh, hi, Glenn, or oh, hi, Alicia, or whoever, because they've seen each other more than once, obviously. So it was funny because anytime he would come over to the big group and want to call out just certain people to come into a scene, oh my gosh, he kept avoiding even making eye contact with me. And my husband's like, he's not picking you. He's not picking you. And then later on in the day, he said, all right, listen, if you look like me, and he was super, super pale, no hair, whatever. And he said, if you look like me, don't be offended, but we're really going for authentic people.
Which we talked about. We thought probably we would get screwed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I followed all the rules. Like, I took off my eyelashes. I didn't wear a stitch of makeup. And they did. They had makeup people coming around and saying to people, hey, do you have lipstick on? No, it's chapstick.
Are you sure you don't have eyeliner?
Yeah. So they were taking people's makeup off, and I saw one girl behind me. She said, hey, I'm going to knock down your lashes a little bit here. And she was taking this woman's lashes off. So I was like, okay, I'm glad I'm a rule follower because I would have hated to have been called out for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then they
have them like taken off in a place like that. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, even my lash girl was like, clearly they weren't professional because you can't just take them off like that. And I'm like, I know. So they also had wardrobe people walking around that would like trim you or pin you, or like one guy came up to my husband and he said, listen, you're wearing your belt below your waist. And during that time frame, that would have been a very Roman thing to do and not, a Jewish Hebrew thing to do. So he fixed his bell. And then at one point I was like, my costume is so big that it was just falling off. The wardrobe lady came over and put a couple stitches in it for me. I mean, just very, very kind. Like every single crew member was not just kind and smiling and friendly, regardless of the circumstances, how long we'd been there, how tired we were, how hungry we were. They were above and beyond. Like everybody would ask, what's your name? Where are you from? Oh, hi, I'm Marty. I'm blah, blah. It just was such a loving, caring group of people. It was amazing. And then every time Dallas would be in the same area, you'd be like, oh my gosh, there's Dallas, there's Dallas. He's a huge man, first of all. He's a very, very
Is he?
large man, like just tall. He's very tall. He's very fit. But it's a striking difference when you see him next to all like these actors and different people. So they came out and told us, we're not telling you what scenes you're going to be in, what episode it's going to be in. We're not telling you any of that. We're just shooting it. Your job is just to be in the background. Just be extras, walk, walk, walk. So a lot of it was walking, just constant walking around the set, which was cool because then you could see the actors when they were being filmed if you were going by. So that was, and then they had live animals and a real baby, and it was just, it was cool to see. Like my husband's favorite part was the behind the scenes, like learning how they film something.
Yeah.
I was just so enamored watching everything and just taking it all in that at one point my husband was like, you're not talking very much. And I'm like, because I am just trying to take every stitch of this in. But we met so many people from so many different places, and they were diehard fans. I mean, some of them had been an extra like 4 times. One person that was there had been an extra all 7 seasons. There was a guy, they were selling merchandise in the corners. So like my husband and I bought extra season 7 t-shirts and a hat and a couple other things.
That. Yeah.
So, and they were so gracious. They're like, we'll hold it for you and tag it and you can pick it up at the end of the day. And even though it was a small little intimate setting. So they were feeding us snacks and literally walking around the set with bananas and oranges and water and sunscreen and bug spray, and just could not have been more accommodating and gracious to us.
Yeah.
The different people that we met them sitting at lunch and then sitting outside like waiting. People were making connections left and right. Like I saw people handing out, because you had no phones. There was 0 phones on set.
You couldn't even sneak them in.
Yeah, if somebody were to have had them in their, well, let me take that back. Let me rephrase that. You had to carry all of your things with you in your bag. So like the first day I had extra socks, I had an umbrella and bug spray and this and that and blah, blah, blah.
And you're like, oh my God, this is too much to carry.
Yes, way too much to carry. So like the second day we were smart enough to be like, okay, we don't really need the umbrella for shade. We don't need this. We don't need that. So we really kind of pared it down the second day. We did have our phones with us in our bags out on set, but they were off. Like you couldn't bring them out. You couldn't.
It was just like a brick.
And it was almost like being in Vegas at a casino. You didn't know what time it was because you have no phone, you have no watch, you have no, and you can't like sneak a peek. So it was a little kind of crazy. But you could see people like pulling paper and pen out of their bags to exchange phone numbers and, oh, where are you from? And I'm a financial analyst and whatever. But it was just really cool the people talking about how long they've been watching The Chosen, what The Chosen has meant to them, how they originally got started watching. Just one of the guys that we met at lunch one of the days, it was his birthday, and he said, I came out here by myself for my birthday, and I gave him a little baby Jesus, and I said, happy birthday. He had never seen them before, so that was super cool. I know.
Wow. So, nowadays, it's like you can't, everybody's like, oh yeah, I got 10 of these. Thank you for, you know what I mean? Like,
yes. And he was like, this is so special. I'm going to put it in a really special place when I get home. I lead a Chosen Bible study. So then later when we were all out together in the big group, some guy came out and he was like, oh, it's my friend's birthday. Can we all sing happy birthday to him? So we sang to him, and then somebody else yelled out, well, it's Alan's birthday. And Alan is the guy I had sat with at lunch and gave the baby Jesus to. And they're like, let's sing to Alan. And then there was somebody else. And it was just one of those where everybody was just so loving and kind, and just, I mean, story after story. We sat with another mom and her daughter, and she said, my husband's a huge, huge Chosen fan, but he's back in the room with our kids. My mom and I are doing this because he's going to Israel. And I'm like, oh, how cool is that? So we started talking about her kids. Same thing. I pulled out a couple baby Jesuses. She had never seen them. And I was like, this is crazy.
yeah.
How many people? And then that guy that I met from Omaha, I found him before we left. And I said, I know you have 2 kids at home, and here's a baby Jesus for each of them, but I had accidentally handed him 3. So he said, oh, I only have 2 kids. And I said, well, the extra one's for you. And he's like, I have never seen these. These are so cool. It was just a very, it's hard to put into words how loving, and no one complained about the heat. No one complained about, we didn't get lunch one day on the second day till 4:00.
Why so late? Just because they were busy filming or what?
Yep. It's all.
They were like in the groove.
Yep. And if the sun is shining and we're at, or whatever they're doing, super just, I just can't even tell you. So then there was this one lady that I met. Her name was Alicia. And she had done it a couple of times. And there was a scene that they pulled just a handful of us in for.
They pulled you in even though you look like that?
They pulled me in and they pulled my husband in. But it was just a small group of us. And we got pulled in, I think, just because we were in proximity. So it was like, okay, you guys walk back and forth, go. So we were like, okay, super cool. So I'm excited about that because I'm hoping, I mean, we were walking back and forth in front of the camera over and over and over. And I'm like, unless they AI us out or blur us or
make you a different color.
Yeah, exactly. They could AI.
I mean, Joy, that's you, but you got like brown hair, brown eyes, really tan skin.
So of course, now when we watch The Chosen, we're always looking at the background, the extras, and we're like,
that's how I was when they were posting on their Instagram stories. I was like, I would like hold it down because you know stories move, and like pause it and then like move the pictures around, looking for Joy.
I was shocked when you sent that picture that you found us because there were quite a few people there.
Right.
So then day 2, there were less people. So on day 1, excuse me, we had been filming pretty much all day, and they sent us back to the tent. We ate our lunch. It was late.
Wait, could you kind of tell from like what you were witnessing probably what part of the story was being filmed?
Yes and no. Yes,
okay.
But I don't know the order of how they're going to shoot everything.
Right.
Because we know.
Was Jesus up on the cross or no?
No.
You can't tell me. Can you tell me anything? Like, are you not supposed to talk about it?
You're not supposed to share anything, but season 6 was the crucifixion, and they filmed that over in Italy. So this is season 7.
Oh, that's right. This is, okay, yes.
So I was like, I kept telling my husband,
season 6 comes out in a couple, like, in fall, right? November.
So they announced it when we were there.
That's right. Okay.
Season 6 is in November. And then one of the Come and See Foundation head honchos, whoever he is, he and his wife are actually the mom and dad of Tyler Thompson, who's one of the main writers, one of the head writers.
Oh.
So they came out and were talking about, for those of you that are kind of sad or, you know, like this is a very bittersweet season because it's the end of The Chosen.
Yeah.
He made this like analogy of a rocket, and he's like, the last 7 years have been firing up the boosters. He's like, the rocket hasn't even taken off yet. The movie's coming out, the next series that they're going to do is Moses and the Axe, and I mean, he's like, we're just getting started, which was so cool to hear. But he was like, by, I can't remember the year now, I think it was by 2028,
Yeah.
over 600 languages, The Chosen will have been translated into over 600 languages. Like, they already have.
That is so quick. Like, think of a good, like an old book that like by Tim Morrison or Jim, you know, that like super famous author from back in the day, he wrote Beloved or whatever. Like, that took decades for it to be in multiple, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
for books to be in multiple languages and stuff, and for it to be already, holy cats, to have been translated in that many languages.
It's incredible. And they were talking about how they brought The Chosen to this very, very remote village with these children, and they had showed season 3, episode 1, I think it is, whatever the episode is with the children.
Yeah, I love that episode.
Oh, and they said the children were clapping and laughing and just so joyful. And one of the Chosen producers or whoever it was that was there said, this isn't really, like, why are they clapping and joyful? It's not like that really joyful of a scene. And the pastor, whoever it was that was with the children, said they're just so full of joy to hear it in their own native heart language, because that's what they call it, their heart language. So that was just incredible. And then one of the guys that was selling the merchandise, the t-shirts, the marketing guy, which I'm thinking he must go everywhere with them, I don't really know, but he had his car wrapped in The Chosen. Pictures of the disciples and the logo and all this. And he had Sharpies for all of the extras to sign his car. And I was like, how cool is that? Because then later on, we were driving down the interstate, and I looked over and I saw a bunch of people in Chosen garb, like the black and the teal and the t-shirts, off on the side of the highway at a Village Inn. I'm seeing this parking lot from the interstate, and I was like, oh my gosh, look at that car. It's wrapped in The Chosen. That's so amazing. And there were like 30 people in this Village Inn parking lot. And then the next day when we went to set, we saw his car, and we were like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. So my husband asked me, he's like, what are you going to do with the car when The Chosen's over? And he said, I'm going to see if Dallas wants to buy it. We just laughing. We were like, oh my gosh, the guy was hilarious. But just, I mean, I can't even. So the second day that we were shooting, we broke for lunch really late. Well, my husband and I had booked a red eye out of Salt Lake for midnight, Tuesday night. We're thinking 2 days of shooting, we'll be done, even if we're not done till 8 o'clock at night. We have plenty of time to make a red eye. Friends of ours were flying in the next day from Florida to our house for their daughter's wedding. So we were limited time frame. Then I'm like, I have to go get my lashes put back on. I have a wedding this weekend. So we're sitting there at lunch, and one of the people we're sitting with, they said, yeah, I heard a rumor we're shooting until 10 o'clock. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're shooting until 10 o'clock? So the woman who had been in before, her name is Alicia, she said, yeah, I've been here for seasons where they'll stop at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I'm looking at my husband thinking, oh my gosh, I do not want to miss a stitch of this. Like, I don't even care if there's only 15 minutes left and we have to leave. I don't want to miss this. So he's sneaking off into the porta potty with his phone, trying to call the airlines. We're trying to figure all this out because you're not, so anyway, I sat at the table and I said a prayer, and I said, you know what, God, if you're willing, and this works out for us to stay the whole time, that I don't get to miss anything, great. But if not, then this was enough. Kind of like the diet knew. I was like, this has been enough. The weekend had been enough. Day one had been enough. I was like, it'll be enough. So this woman, Alicia, was like, oh no, I'll feel so bad if you have to leave and this and that and blah, blah. And I said, I know. So fast forward, the very last scene, the very end of everything, where Dallas comes out and says his little speech and thank you guys for coming and everything you did and blah, blah, blah. We're done for the day. My husband and I raced. I mean, we were literally racing back to the tent, and one of the golf carts pulled up and they're like, do you guys want to ride? And we're like, that'd be great. So as he's giving us a ride back, everybody's walking in a line back to the tent, and I see my friend Alicia, and I'm waving at her from the golf cart, and I'm yelling. I said, I made it to the end. Because we kept saying, oh no, you're going to have to leave early.
Yeah.
So she was cheering for me. I mean, it was just that beautiful, like that all weekend long.
What time did they stop at?
They ended up stopping probably right at, I want to say it was like 9 o'clock. Because we were...
How far were you from Salt Lake, from the airport?
An hour and a half. We were freaking out. My husband travels for a living. He always has 35, 40, however many years.
So he's a seasoned veteran when it comes to, like, if you get to the airport, you have this much time.
Yep. Seasoned professional. I have never seen him panic. I have never seen him sweat. He's the guy that's like, grab one more coffee. They're boarding.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we're fine. Have another drink. Yeah, no way.
We were panicked. I've never seen him so stressed out, because we're racing to the airport, and then the signage, we can't figure out the signage, and it's dark. And
well, and you had a rental car to return too, right?
Oh,
so it
yeah.
wasn't like you could just get dropped off and run.
Yeah, rental car to return. We were still wearing our costumes when we left the set. Our feet are filthy. We're in our costumes. I'm talking head wrap, whole thing. And we're like, oh my gosh. So I'm trying to change in the car. I'm like wet wiping my feet. We park in the cell lot. We're both stripping. We could care less who's around us. We're like, oh my gosh, we got to make this flight. We have to make this flight, because there was no flight until the next day late. And we were like, oh no, we got to go. So we're running. I mean, running through the airport. My husband is full on panic. He's way in front of me, and he's like, you have to hurry, because they'll close the gate without you, even if I'm there and you're not. So we're running and we're running. We get through, and they literally shut the door behind us. We had 1 minute to spare before they closed the door. And yeah, it was, my leg muscles and feet hurt so badly. And all I could think to myself is, I work out. I shouldn't be. But I was running through this airport. And you know how it is when you're late? It looks like it's 5 miles away. It really was. We're like running. It was insane. But back to the filming. It was what you see on the show. It was so realistic. Like, you really, really felt like you were there. If it would not have been for the cameras, you would have felt like you were there, because of just the weather and the dust and the dirt, and just so authentic and very, like, I didn't know this, which I hope I'm not sharing too much, but they have these smoke machines, or like kind of like a fog machine, that they have going all the time. And I was like,
so it kind of makes the dust or whatever, like, kind of a dust.
So for some cinematic reasons, it makes the set look better, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But for me, it just added to that ambiance of,
like, the mysticalness.
yeah, it was really insane. So somebody said to us, yeah, I saw Jonathan here. And I was like, what? Jonathan's here? I mean, it's not that big of a set. It's a big set, but it's not that big. So I'm like, what, where? And my husband's like, I don't believe it. And then a couple more
Well,
people.
wouldn't he be there too, because he's filmed? Or do they not film him when the extras are there? Like, why were you so why were people so surprised for him to be there, I guess is my question.
I was confused on, because you don't know which episode of season
Yeah, or
7
which
it is.
scene or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, has he been resurrected at this point? That was my only question is, oh, he may not be here because he hasn't been resurrected. I don't know.
Okay. Okay.
So the first day, we weren't with any of the main actors, which was fine. We knew that going in, we may or may not get to see him. They told us you could even be in other productions we're doing. We could be filming this back shot something totally different than season 7. So so my husband and I were like, okay, we're just not going to know. I mean,
You were just like an extra for come and see, not
Yeah.
for necessarily the show. Okay. Okay.
pretty much. So that night, Monday night, we would go back to our hotel, shower, yada, yada. And we're like, oh, where can we eat? It's late at night, because the time difference for us was huge because it felt so much later to our body. So we ended up going to a different Marriott to grab dinner that had a restaurant, and little James was in the lobby. And my husband walks over and he's like, hi, Jordan, like he knows him.
Yeah.
He gives Dave the biggest hug and it's like, it's so great to see you. And he was super kind. And I had been in the bathroom and I came out of the bathroom. And then he looked at me and he looked at Dave and he looked at me again. And I was like, oh, I think he thought you were somebody else. But just so kind and gracious and humble. So my husband said, so are we going to see you tomorrow? And he goes, yeah, you're going to see us tomorrow. And we were like, yes, we're going to get to see the big
actual
guns.
people. Yeah.
So I will say this, on Tuesday when we filmed, we did get to see all of the male disciples, but none of the females. And we did not see Jonathan.
Okay.
So I think he was there more looking. Like at one point I saw Tyler, the head writer, up on the roof looking down. And then Daryl, who's one of the big producers, he came out and did a little speech and we saw him walking around. So people were kind of just walking around.
Yeah.
But we never got to see Jonathan, which is not a big deal. We got to see the rest of them. And then they came by and high-fived everybody. And it was really, to see them, I mean, I had seen them up close at Chosen Con, but to see them again in costume on set was just, it was super, it was just so cool. I mean, I was on a spiritual high. I still am kind of on a spiritual high.
Yeah.
It was just, it was almost like there are no words to say what a cool experience it was. It just, I would do it again over and over. And I was asking the other extras that had done it multiple times. I said, okay, so now that you've been an extra and you've done it multiple times, do you go in the same queue that the rest of us went in to lottery in? She said, yes. We all go into the same queue. We all lotteried in. Didn't matter that you had done this before. There was no algorithm to pick us out. And I was like, that is, again, just a gift that you're chosen more than once. But I would do it all day long.
Well, Acts is after the resurrection, right? In the Bible, that's like after Jesus resurrects, or
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. I would love to be like in an extra in Acts, I think. Like the Old Testament doesn't really resonate with me. That's more of law and like man telling you what you should or shouldn't do. So Moses and stuff, I'm not so sure. Like I'm not 100% familiar with that story, but what resonates with me is like the coming of Jesus and the message he shared, which is like, you guys have turned this all into a bunch of rules. It's just about loving one another, you know? And so then like, I feel like Acts I really resonate with probably more, but
Yeah, for
I would love
sure.
to do that.
Oh, it was,
I gotta start saving my pennies.
it was one of those moments that I could see why people want to do it over and over, because the environment, and you feel like you're a part of something really big. You just feel not like a responsibility. It's more of a, I want to do a good job. I want this to be authentic. I want people to really believe. So we had gone to this wedding. One of my closest, she's like my sister. Her daughter got married this weekend in Asheville at Grove Park. So we flew in, then they flew in, and it was just a whirlwind weekend. So on Friday night, my girlfriend said to one of her friends, she was like, oh yeah, and she was an extra in The Chosen. So she's like, oh, tell me about it. And I was just like, blah, 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 blah. And I said, this is what he wants us to do, though. He wants us to tell people, go watch the show. It's amazing. And their daughter was 20. She looked over at her dad and she was like, Dad, let's start watching it together. And I was so like, I feel, maybe it is responsibility. I feel this need, if you will, to share it with people and say, you've got to watch The Chosen. Right. Even if you're not a follower of Christ, it's historical. You learn things about the Jewish religion. You learn so much about culture and just biblical, just all of it. I mean, I don't have to tell you, but it was just great to be able to share it with people. So then anytime my husband would joke around about like, well, famous actor coming through, move out of the way.
Oh,
like,
I love it. Yeah.
He could not.
Anybody need my autograph? We just got off set a couple days ago. I love it. I think I would love your husband.
Oh, he plugged it like you can't believe. Yeah, he is super, super sarcastic and always joking. But every time he said that, people were like, really, what, seriously, you were in? And he would be like, oh, The Chosen, you got to watch it. Like, it just has become this. So then by the time we left this wedding, somebody else was like, you guys have to have a watch party when your season comes out. And I was like, oh my gosh, yeah. But then other friends of mine were like, I need to start watching season 1, episode 1 until it gets to your part. And I was like,
so they can be prepared.
Yeah, I'm like, you really you wouldn't have to, but yeah, it was just, I'm sure there's so many things I'm not telling you that I was like, oh, I got to tell her this, I got to tell her that. But it just, even the goats, there were these baby like goats and sheeps and whatever. And at one point they were holding this baby sheep, this extra was, and it would call out, like cry. And then you could hear the mom lamb way over in another trailer somewhere, pen somewhere, calling back. So they were going back and forth, and all of us extras are sitting there lapping. Like, it just, it was a really beautiful, I cannot wait until it comes out to be like, I was there, I was in that scene. But the Alicia woman that I told you about, because she had done it multiple times, in this one scene where we kept walking back and forth right in front of the camera, and I was like, there's no way we didn't make this scene. I was so nervous, and I said to her, I know it's just walking, but I don't want to screw it up. And there was another girl next to me, and she's like, I feel the same way. I feel like we're going to mess it up. So she's like, follow me. So we did. We followed her, and it just worked out so perfectly. I mean, it was just, it was just, between that and just being in Utah, I can understand why it was in Utah. It is such a special, special place. I mean, just beautiful, beautiful people and place. And I want to go back just to go to Utah, because that's it. They're done. No more filming in Utah. So I don't think Axe or Moses or, I mean, they didn't say, but they made a pretty big deal out of this is it. And one of the female producers that was kind of running part of the show, she got emotional on the last day and said, this is going to be tough. Because even like one of the wardrobe women, when they're talking to you and introducing themselves and this and that, and she's like, I'm here from Utah. I've worked on all 7 seasons. And I'm like, this has got to be so tough.
Like a family,
for them. Yeah, it's got to be really tough. So that was it for extras. They're going to finish up their shooting in Utah, and then they're going down to Texas. And then that's it. I know.
So it's so not coincidence, because there is no such thing as coincidence. But David Hoffmeister, who is a a large teacher of the Course in Miracles. They have a monastery. Not him specifically, but the Living Miracles Monastery is out in Strawberry Valley, I think, which is right outside of Duchesne. And I do not think it is far from where they film The Chosen at all. But I was talking to a friend, Nicholas, who lived at the monastery for a while, and he loved the little town that was outside. And I don't know if it was actually Duchesne was the town he was referring to or a different one, but he said the same thing as you. It's just so loving and so just like a beautiful place. And so, yeah, I would love to go visit Utah as well sometime. Maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll see what the future brings as far as going there. But but the coincidence piece is, so David was having, or the monastery was having, a movie retreat. So it's where they watch movies, and it's like my Through the Lens videos that I did, like with The Chosen and stuff, where you can heal through watching others and you can see the symbolism and stuff. And they were doing a movie gathering, a week-long retreat, and it was part of the days were the days you were there. So there was a lot of similar energy with the deep love of Jesus and stuff in the area that was there very intentionally as well at the same time. So it's so cool to just hear that it felt like a magical portal. Itself.
It is. There's something about it out there. I mean, it just, so here's a fun little story. So when we were at Chosen Con, we had lunch with a group of people, and two of them were dressed up as extras at Chosen Con. So I was talking to her, and I was like, how do you get to be an extra? I would love to, this and that, blah, blah, blah. So she said, I've been one a couple of different times. They call me back because I'm very ethnic looking.
Yeah, you had said that. Yeah.
So I saw her in the tent on the first day. And I went over to her and I said, I don't know if you remember me, Anne, but we had lunch one day at Chosen Con, and I had been asking you about how to be an extra, and she's
the one that kind of told you she didn't think they were going to have more. I remember you telling me that she wasn't so sure, like she had heard that there wasn't, and then it was like 2 weeks later you got, oh my God, we got those texts and stuff. But yes, yeah. Okay, keep telling me. But it was her though, that wasn't
Yeah,
her.
It was her. So I said, oh my gosh, I don't know if you remember me, Joy. And she goes, Joy? She goes, Joy? So we started talking and this and that. And I said, I just had to come over and tell you that I made it, that I'm an extra, and I'm so excited. And she was like, oh my gosh, good for you. And then she said, did you guys go up to Sundance? Which we drove past Sundance multiple times from Provo to Salt Lake, but we didn't go up. And she's like, oh, you've got to go up there. Sometimes they run these gondolas at different times. She's like, it is the best view in all of the entire area. You can see so much. So we didn't get to do that. So I would love to go back and do that one day. Yeah. But I said to her, or were you here both days? And she said, no, I'm only here one. And then we had met people that said, we're only here for today. We're not coming back tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh, that's crazy, which you did have that option. You didn't have to do 2 days.
Yeah, you did say that. Yeah.
But for us, we're like, if you're going to be here, we want to do 2 days. So on the first day, after they brought us all back to the tent after filming for lunch and this and that, they said, if you're going to be here for day 2, we're going to have you guys go ahead and go. And we're only going to use the people that are just here for the 1 day to make it more fair. Oh. So we ended up leaving, getting out early, showering, going to dinner, the whole bit. And then on day 2, there were only like 150 of us. Oh, so it was even more intimate, which was amazing. And the other cool thing I didn't tell you is that if they were off filming somewhere, but we couldn't see from where we were kind of staged, they would say, come in and watch, but we're going to take groups of you to come in and watch. So we would come in and watch. And then a couple of times we ended up just staying in there. And then they were like, okay, we're going to use you as an extra. And that's how my husband and I got up to the front in that one shot I was telling you about. So that was super cool too, that it became even more intimate. So day 2, I'm in line with this woman at the porta potty. She and I start talking. sharing stories and this and that. So we're taking selfies together. And she said, I'm part of the teal group. Because it was like red color, blue color, purple. That's how they divided you up in your lanyards, whatever. So I said, oh, teal group. And she said, we're actually card carriers. We're actually SAG actors. But we don't get paid. It's still volunteer. We still make our donations, the whole bit. So she had the exact same experience that I had, that I was sharing with you, where I was like, I don't know if I'm an extra. I think I'm an extra. She said, I went through the whole thing just like you did, not being sure. And I've done this multiple times with The Chosen. And I was
so it was confusing to everyone, not just us. So that's what you're telling me.
Yeah. So she was like, you still feel very, very blessed and like you're chosen, because we had to do the exact same process that you guys had to do. So she said, listen to this interesting statistic. 16,000 people tried to become an extra, and only 1,600 tickets were given, meaning like my husband and I had 4 because we were 2 days, 2 of us.
Okay,
So
yeah. Okay.
It was like 1,600 tickets is all they gave out, or that they needed, was 16,000, over 16,000 people tried. And I was like, that's incredible.
We thought it was simple. We questioned. It was so simple for you. We were like, there are not that many people apply. Maybe there's a ton of people. Holy 16,000.
And that's just...
And wait, but only 1,600 tickets were handed out. But on day 1, there was 250. And on day 2, there was 150. Like, that, the math still doesn't add up, though. So did not everyone then actually come?
So they're counting, there were a couple of days in Utah that they shot before we got there.
Oh, that's right. There was multiple days to choose from. I remember you and I. Yeah, okay, yeah. And there was some in like June, some in July. There was different months, too.
Yep. And then the 2 we went to in June, and now they've got still a couple more days down in Texas.
Yeah.
So that's
Holy
all
crap.
3. That's all 3 opportunities. There were only 1,600 tickets. I know. That's why I was like, we can literally only be grateful. Like, grateful is, there's no other.
You were definitely meant to be there.
I know. It was super.
I mean, we never questioned that. Like, when the outfits aligned and that connection with that woman, and like, you guys looked fabulous. I mean, it just all aligned exactly as it was meant to.
I have to tell you, this is so funny. I think it's super funny, but when you had sent me the picture that you had seen us, I sent it to my girls, and I'm like, you're never going to believe this. Look at this. Ashley found this picture of it, blah, blah, blah. And one of my girls said to me, she goes, Mom, it was the first time that I looked at a picture of you, and I was like, oh my gosh, she looks like a cancer patient.
Oh,
because I had no eyelashes.
Oh, because you're no eyelashes. But that's not from your cancer. That's because you've worn eyelashes for too long.
I know. And I started laughing. I was like, oh my gosh, she's so right. Like, I didn't look in the mirror for a couple of days because I was like, I do not look healthy whatsoever.
Oh my gosh.
But it was.
When you were really pale too. And it's like, when the backdrop, I mean, I get it because we're the same skin tone. So then when the backdrop is like very neutral muted colors, and you're a very neutral muted color yourself, you tend to blend in with the rest of everything.
Oh, for sure. And that was the other thing that we deduced on our own, but then he ended up coming out and saying it too. The darker colors. They were looking for dark colors to stand out. And like Dave was wearing mustard yellow. I'm wearing a really light teal. So we both said, okay, now we know going forward, they're looking for more darker earth tone.
Like rich.
Kind of dirt. I hate to say, like dirty. Like,
I
gotta look dirty in a way.
Yeah.
Which is weird to say, but it was just so cool. And then looking at some of the extras that were there, I don't know if they're purposely growing their hair out or their beards, or
maybe.
Because like my husband grew his beard out, so maybe. But there were people that genuinely just looked so authentic.
Yeah.
that you're like, wow, it was just cool. It was cool for me just to look at everybody's costumes.
Yeah.
And then you and I had talked about this, but this mom and daughter that we had met from Georgia that we were having lunch with, they had rented their costumes.
Yeah.
And right outside of the tent was a return for these costumes for that company. So she's like, this is so great. We're going to be able to take our costumes off, drop them.
So they must work with Come and See. Like they must partner with them.
Yeah, definitely. It was just.
But to rent was pretty expensive. I will say it was. You paid less buying from that lady than you would have paid to rent. But whatever.
Oh, 100%. So I
found that company. I know which one it is because there's one major one when you Google it. It's a beautiful money has been put into the operation. It's not just a random people.
Yeah, okay. It is. I mean, I could definitely see where it'd be a big business if. I mean, because
especially with not even just the Chosen, but there's such a movement for this, the Moses, David. We're really ramping up movies and TV shows and stuff that take place in those times. People are hungry for those stories to be rewritten. So, I mean, those costumes are probably constantly rented out.
Oh, I told my husband we washed ours and bagged it up and put all of our accessories with it. And people were like, oh, I'm going to put this on eBay. And I'm like, I'm saving mine because I almost had wished that I had more than one outfit to change into. Just because you're just having so much fun. Yeah.
And you can't wash it. And so so many things.
I brought my steamers. So I'm in the hotel room steaming them and Febrezing them. Yeah, but it was just, how
amazing.
It was absolutely, And now, even my husband said, now I have such an appreciation of why it takes so long for a TV show to come out, because we were there hours and hours and hours, and they're just getting one little snippet. I mean, it could be 30 seconds by the time, maybe not even 30 seconds.
Right.
So it's definitely a process. And Dallas was very, very focused. At the very end, we were all leaving, and he stood there and he was high-fiving everybody goodbye. And he said, I wish I could take a selfie with every person and talk to each one of you, but we've got daylight burning. And we were like, I get it. By that point, we were like, okay, we get it.
Yeah.
But it was just, you can tell how grateful they are, too, that people came and not even just the donation, but you're spending a lot of time and effort to get there. There were some women there from Australia. There were women there from Brazil.
What?
Yeah. They raised, in the tent, they were like, raise your hand if you came from outside the U.S. for this. A couple people raised their hand, and they're like, okay, where are you from? They were like, I'm from Australia. I'm from Brazil. I will share this, though. The very, very end, the very last scene we did, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. It was emotional. There were quite a few people crying and hugging, and I'm sure that a lot of it is people that have done it so many different times. Yeah. But I was emotional too, just because it's the end of something that we've all been really invested in and watching, and it was really. Wow. It was really emotional. Yeah, it was cool. It was so cool.
Well, and it's what I comes to mind for me is that, you talked about you're sharing the word now, and we've talked about being the hands and the feet and the voice, for Jesus, and the Theo of Golden, and how we felt like that was something that was channeled through him, and the Chosen. It feels so much more connected because we all have familiarity with the story of Jesus, because truly it's all of our paths, right? Not to be crucified on the cross, but it's all of our paths to truth. It just may look different, but we can resonate so deeply with the ultimate message that he shares, which is like love. And, you know, Julie keeps bringing up such a beautiful quote by Rumi of like, we're not here to seek love, we're here to seek the barriers to love. And that's really what Jesus was sharing constantly when he would tell with people, you know, is like, this is a barrier, this is a barrier, this is a barrier. It's this simple, just love. And so I feel like the Chosen's television series is just another one of those vessels that may not resonate with everyone, but it carries a resonance, a remembrance for when people are open and ready for that deep awareness and deep healing. Like I was reading, you know, we read The Theo of Golden and we felt that, but other people don't even like The Theo of Golden. I don't understand how, but that's because it's not meant to be a part of their journey. But I feel like The Chosen, because it is a story that so many have deep resonance with, it's just, yeah, just another one of those beautiful vessels that feels even more universal. Yeah. So I think it's bringing so many people together, right? Like it's connecting instead of pushing people apart, which often actually, when we talk about like stories from the Bible, it tends to actually separate people, how it's usually shared.
I know. In fact, when we were at the wedding this weekend and I was talking to a dear friend of mine who's very faith-filled, but she's got friends that are not. And I was sharing that with her, is I feel the same way. We just don't have certain conversations. We just don't talk about certain things. Not even as an avoidance. We just don't talk about it. But she said that to me. She said, when people come to me and say, how can you be religious? There's so many rules to follow. And I was like, you know what? You should point them to The Chosen. There's just no other way to say it. Point them to The Chosen, because that's one of the many things that he talks about is right. These rules are not to be followed to be righteous. And it's your heart that he's after, and that's what he is looking for. But I was really glad that you and I had that conversation about how every morning with my Bible readings, how it's something that I feel like, I was really glad we had that conversation, because when I went out to Utah, I didn't feel that angst or not pressure, but I didn't feel that need that I had felt before. I was like, you know what? No, I'm here. I'm immersed. I'm enjoying. I'll get to my readings when I get to them, if I get to them. Right. So that was so thank you for that, because that was a very freeing moment for me that I even carried into the wedding weekend. There was one morning I was up by myself. I made my coffee. I sat by the window. I did my readings. That was one day out of 4. I didn't do it the rest of the days, and it was all good. It was fine. It was no pressure, you know? So that was awesome too.
So, you know, I brought up the book earlier that I'm listening to, Born to Run. And they actually, it's so cool. It brings in a lot of correlations of people being more in a space of love and then running. And not that you need one or the other, but one thing that was mentioned, I was like, wow, this is really how we should live our life for everything. And someone asked this person that became a runner, and they're really fast, and they said, you know, where are you going to take this? Like, what's next? And, you know, all that future talk we usually talk about. And the runner's essential response was, right now I love running, and I'm going to run until I stop loving running. And so it was really that permission slip that the moment something becomes a have to, instead of a want to, a get to, provokes love, like that is our barometer. That is what Jesus was trying to say with follow your heart, is right. Like follow what is guiding you until it no longer is coming from a place of love. And that means to not then try to find the love. That's trying to find light and darkness. You can't find light and darkness. You have to bring the darkness to the light. Instead, it's about, okay, what's next? Where am I being guided in this moment? Because love is not here anymore. I'm no longer. So now this has become actually a blockade to the love. So it's like, with your morning ritual, that's what was beginning to happen. It was starting to have this ability to be a block to experiencing love for the day, to be a have to instead of like, I even hate using the words a get to, but you know what I mean? Like just
Yeah.
this like ability, like it brings me joy. And it's not that the actual thing is bringing you joy. It's that you're in this space of joy when you're doing it. And the moment that something no longer allows you to be in joy when you're doing it is the moment to stop doing that thing.
No, I totally agree. I completely
Yeah.
agree. And that is, it's funny you say that because we had my daughter's big graduation party right before we flew to Utah. And then we had this big wedding when we got back. And I've helped with the wedding preparations, you know, the shower and this and that. And then, of course, my daughter's graduation party was a big party. And I've had people come to me before and say, you should be a party planner. You're so good at this, and this is so creative, and la, la, la. And I do. I enjoy doing it. I love doing it. But my answer was very straightforward right off the bat. I do this because I love doing it. It would take all the joy out of it if it was my job and I had to do it.
Yeah.
I do it because it comes from a place of love. Just
Which
like my
sometimes
mother.
you can make money that way, but you're right. We have become such a society. Evelina and I literally did a podcast about like when, you know, I don't know if you and I even talked about this, Joy, but like, you know, my mom and her mom really grew up in this state of like, you go to work, you may not enjoy it, but it's a means to an end, right? Like you work, you save up for retirement, all this stuff. It's not something you love. Then all of a sudden we have my generation that started to like question things and stuff, but still felt like they had to follow it. But then this next generation is like, no, like if I don't like doing something, I shouldn't do it. But if I love doing something, I should make money doing it. It should be my job. So like we've lost the ability to have hobbies. We've lost the ability to do something you love, like you, party planning, without it having some sort of monetary compensation behind it. And so it's not to say that like you couldn't still have joy of it being a job, but you're saying, I don't feel called to do that. And that's okay. I can still plan parties and not get paid for it and be really, really good at it.
Yep.
You know, it's like, and that's what this running, oh my gosh, this running book, like, is so funny that it's like so correlated to our conversation. But that's one of the things they talk about with like ultra marathoners and stuff is a lot of, I mean, until recently, now they're really starting to get like money deals. But when running is like just pure love, and it was like there was just groups of people that would just like go run and they didn't get injured and they didn't all this stuff. And then all of a sudden when money was tied to it and sponsorship and fame and it started to do that, like all of a sudden people started to like wear correcting shoes and they'd get injured, or they would run further than they felt they should because they had to for this or that. And it like really took out the love behind it and turned it into like a machine money making fame thing. But there's still like this group of like runners who literally won't run in races that are faster than the racers because they just love it, right?
Yeah.
And they're great at it, but it doesn't mean they have to go show the world that and get some sort of external benefit, right? And that's, I think, what Jesus was saying too when it comes to like the rules and all of that are within many religions, is he's saying like, you've created these because you think my love is outside of you. You think that you have to earn it. You think that like you are unworthy of it unless you do X, Y, and Z. And if you don't do that, then you have to like somehow compensate to get my love back. And what I'm telling you is like, no, love's always there within you. What happens outside of you at the level of form is just that. And it actually doesn't impact my love for you at all.
Right. I just read a devotional about that this morning about hypocrisy and pretending and not being yourself. He wants us to be genuine. He created us as individuals. Every single one of us is super individualized. I don't care if you're an identical twin, there is something unique about each and every one of you. So to not be true to our authentic selves and be who we really are is being hypocritical. No, I don't even know if hypocritical, but you're not being genuine, and that's not what he created us for. And I believe that the love that we have in our hearts is where it all resides, where it all matters. And I just read about that this morning when Jesus came and said this rule of food being unclean and you can't eat certain things in this night. He says it right in the Bible. Anything you put into your body doesn't make you unclean. It comes right back out. It's what's in your heart that is where you're unclean. So it's interesting because I think that he wants us to enjoy our lives and do what makes us happy and what makes us fulfilled. And because then if you're full of joy, you're just showing that joy and spreading that joy. And, nobody wants to be around a Debbie Downer. They want to be around somebody that's happy. Yeah. So I feel like that's also our contribution to everybody, is to be happy. And I do think The Chosen does a good job of breaking down the rules that are not important, and then he says it. What are the most important commandments, or what is the most important commandment? And he says, love God above everything, and then love each other. So like you were saying, it all comes back to love and the heart, and you cannot do acts to be saved. You can't become a better person to be saved. Joel Osteen talks about on his radio show, or I've heard him talk about it, where if his son was up in a tree and he was hanging by a limb and he was going to fall and he says, Dad, come help me. His dad doesn't say, well, wait, let me stop and check your report card. Have you been studying? Well, let me check and see if your room is clean. Well, let me see if you've been nice to your baby sister. He's my son. I'm going to go help him, no questions asked. I'm going to love my son no matter what, no questions asked. Just like you were saying, he loves us no matter what. Yes, you need to be a good person, but it's not by what you're doing. It's his grace and mercy.
Well, and I think that's the catcher. Like you said, yes, you need to be a good person, but really, Joy, just to reflect back that, I get where you're coming from, but the question is what is a good person? Because your definition is going to be different than this, and then that's where religions start to argue, right? Because this religion's definition of good person is no sex, no drinking, this, and then this one is sex before marriage is okay, but you can't marry the same person. And then this person is here well, you can marry whoever you want, but it's that's where it comes in. And I think, you're way more familiar with the Bible than me, but what The Chosen says, the one I got was Jesus said, I give you a new commandment, love as I have loved you. He doesn't even say to love God first. He just says, love as I have loved you. And I think the beauty of that is it really just breaks it down to there isn't even hierarchy per se with God. It's it's just flowing. That's what I envision when he says love as I have loved you. It's just this never ending flow. You don't even need to love God first or more, because there's no such thing as I have loved you as much as God loves me, as much as I love God. And if you love others and yourself as much as I have, then we don't even need to look at the God piece, because it's already flowing, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Because I feel the statement of love God first, which I know you don't interpret it this way, but I think it's been interpreted so much by churches, by religion, by just people in general who don't believe they're worthy, as almost that God-fearing statement, fear God, right? That's why you have to love him first, because, oh my gosh, his wrath. You know what I mean? I feel it feeds into that story of why would we ever say I'm a God-fearing man? And that's used as something positive. Like, I'm a God-fearing man now. I wasn't in the past, but like, I don't ever want to fear God. That's going to push me further from him. Like, if I'm fearful of something, I don't run towards it. I run away from it, right? And so like, yeah, I don't know. That's just what like came to me is like,
No, that's a beautiful point, because if he's our heavenly father, if you were to say to somebody, I'm afraid of my earthly father,
they'd be like, oh my God, how can I help you? How can we get you away from your dad? Like, that's not safe. So why is it any different when we say that about God? I don't care what, if he's your heavenly, your earth, your hell, like wherever he's your father, like I don't think fearing is a good idea.
No, you're right. And it is. And I agree with you that there are definitely certain religions that is the tactic, I think, is to be very fearful.
Well, because that gets you to do what they want you to do.
Right.
I mean, they may not maliciously be doing it, but it's like we're so sneaky, you know, literally the world, like when you look at how everyone operates in the world, it's always to protect the body or to accentuate the body, your own, right? So as much as we want to say like, I would do anything for my children, I would die for them, it sounds like you're sacrificing for them, but you're really doing it for yourself, because you're saying that like, because it's the image you want to be. You want to be that loving person, and that loving person would do those things. And you probably really feel it. It's not like you're consciously being like, oh, I want to be this person. But the truth is, like, that is how the ego operates. So it does sneaky things like that. It does have us place fear in others for personal gain without us, like, consciously being like, oh, I'm doing this because I want them to do something for me. You know, I want them to, like, not go against what I'm saying. I want, like, so, I don't know. That's, like, a whole tangent. But yeah, I mean, like, think of everything, like the schools, like literally every construct. And I think that's why too, earlier when you brought up, I don't care what religion you are, or even if you are a religion, The Chosen is just a great TV show, right? Like, how many TV shows can we relate to and can help us through stuff? Any of them. So if that's the perspective, but I think it's even so much greater than that also, because I've read in many places that, like, even the ecosystem of like politics and how at least the US is set up is very Christianity based. It's very based from a view of Christians. We would have to have like a whole nother episode to break down how that is, but like the hierarchy, the fear, all of that stuff is so similar. So it's like, even if that is not your religion, you've never been to church, you've been exposed to like the structural concepts just by living in the world. Taxes, right? Like, if we look at taxes, the same as going to church and tithing, right? Tithing, taxes.
Right. They even talk about taxes in The Chosen, because I just watched that episode not that long ago. But you're right. The constructs are there for sure. Because I always say that when people are, if somebody says to me, you know, I don't read the Bible, I'm not a believer or whatnot, do unto others as you would have done unto you, the golden rule. Okay, that's, in my mind, that's very biblically based. Do unto others as you would want done unto you. I mean,
I think it's like fully biblically based.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of like Confucius says that you could find in the Bible. You know what I mean? Like, it's definitely, and that's where Joel always says, go to a good Bible-based church. For me personally, that's where I am like, okay, you're taking it from the source. And I know it's open to interpretation because it's verbiage and it's words, and people will argue, well, it's been translated and there's different versions and this and that. And I agree, I understand. But to me, that always goes back to, okay, well, what does the Bible say about that? Or what is the, you know, what is the setup for that belief is when I like to go back to the Bible. And that's why I do open it up and look at verses when I'm reading a devotional to get the context too. Because you can take a Bible verse and skew it any way you want if you're not looking at the context, you know?
Well, and even when you look at the context looks different based on your experiences. So I think that's really why, at least in the episode of The Chosen, when all of these perspectives were brought up, right? Like there was people in there that read the same same rules in the Torah or whatever that rabbi did, and he didn't necessarily agree that what was happening was bad. So I think that's why Jesus was like, at the end of the day, just love like I have loved you, and the rest will fall into place. And so, because we can get so wrapped up, like you said, in you even brought up, you're like, some people will say, well, this has been skewed and that's been skewed, and interpretation and this and that. And so I think that's what Jesus was trying to just say is like, I get it. Like you're all have these unique stories that you're operating through. So when you start to feel frustration, anxiety, questioning, like that rabbi was in that moment, just ask yourself, am I loving as Jesus has loved me? And then it kind of sorts it out. Then it's like, then all of a sudden, a lot of times for me, I would say like, what would Jesus do? Or a thing I would do a lot, like when I'm interacting with someone and I'm not interacting in the most positive way, and let's say the person has irritated me and it was something even minute, I would think, okay, if literally this was Jesus right now, sitting here chomping their food or, spilling on the floor and not cleaning it up, how would I interact with this person if that was Jesus? And I immediately, it's never the same way. Yeah. I would never I would feel honor and deep love, and like that it didn't, like I can take the 5 seconds to clean it up, like chomping their food, it has nothing to do, you know what I mean? Like, so I think that's what he was trying to do in that moment is like, here is the golden question to ask yourself when you find yourself in conflict in your mind. And right now, Rabbi, you're in conflict because you believe one thing, but you're not really believing it. Otherwise, you wouldn't have brought it up, right? He wouldn't have gave Jesus a moment to defend himself, per se, right? He would have just been like, nope, you're breaking the rule. We're out of here, blah, blah. But he did. He paused in that moment, at least how The Chosen depicted it, and gave him this opportunity to explain, to like say, well, the rules have changed a little bit, or, because that's what he's looking for. It was just a new rule. But Jesus instead was like, no, throw your rules away when you feel chaos. And that's like one thing, like with the Course in Miracles, it's just like a guide to remember truth. And that's all the Bible is stories that Jesus shared to help you remember the truth that you already know within. And so Ken Wapnick, he was like the greatest teacher of all time for A Course in Miracles. And these people were arguing about a passage in it and wanted to ask Ken, like, what does this mean? Like, who's right? That's what they're trying to figure out. Just like the rabbi was like, who's right? Like this girl or me? Like, who's right here? And Ken walked up and he ripped the page out of the book and threw it away. And he said, if like right now what this is causing is not doing what it's meant to, so throw it away. It's causing distress. So like the Bible, when the Bible causes us to use it for separation, to use it for right or wrong, to use it for ridicule or anything that is not to extend love, then we should just throw it out the window, because it's not doing its job. It's not being used for its purpose. So yeah, I don't know on that really long tangent, but I love that. Anytime something's causing me distress, so like you, even your morning routine, right? Your morning routine that was something so positive and so beautiful and helped you through so much started to become something that could cause you distress. So you had to essentially throw it away, meaning like it no longer needed to be a part of your routine, but was more of an option.
Right. Yep. No, I agree with what you're saying for sure, because I think sometimes we can get in our own head about what we should and shouldn't be doing, and we're moving away from the core principle of what really matters. And that was where it was nice that we had that conversation. And then immediately after that, I put it into practice.
Yeah.
Because it changed everything kind of going forward. Even today, I was like, okay, I have a lot to do. I am playing catch up. We just got back from this wedding. I've been gone.
You've been crazy.
It's been insane, but such a good insane
Yeah.
that I have no complaints about it other than I probably do need to get some sleep. But yeah, it was, but it was
Sleep's
very
overrated.
helpful. Thank you. Because
Yeah.
it was helpful to say, okay, I'm not tied to that now anymore. I don't feel that weight
Yeah.
anymore, if you will.
Yeah.
No, it was
No.
amazing.
Yeah, I've really been like leaning into that lately. And you'll find yourself even like with stuff that's insignificant. Like I remember when I really started to realize, I think Julie said something to me or something, that I don't have to finish a book I started. Like if you aren't like wanting to read that book by 30% and you're having to force yourself, like don't read it anymore, even if it's like a national bestseller. And so like you have to, because we've been so trained, right, that we have to start something or we have to finish something we've started and we have to continue a routine that's been helpful. You know what I mean? Like we've been told, or we have to like never do something again that at one point was not helpful in our life, right? Like sugar, for example. Like for a long time we cut out sugar, and so then I would be fearful if I ever had, sugar again, like what's going to happen on the other side. Well, of course it wasn't good things because I had so much fear within me. But if I do it from a place of not having fear, then it's just a part of what's happening and it doesn't have this impact. So that's been like a really big barometer. What did I say? There was something the other day for Patrick, because I've kind of gotten in this mindset of like, I can't buy anything that's not on sale. Which is kind of goes into my thrifting. And then it also it plays into so many things like worthiness, everything else. And, consciously I was becoming aware of it. And so I was starting to try to like move through it. And so my favorite apples are Pink Lady apples, and we've bought them all around the world. Well, since we got here, we got a Costco membership, and they don't have Pink Lady apples, but they have Cosmic Crisp, which are similar but very different in the same aspect if you're an apple connoisseur at all. But they're way cheaper at Costco, right? Like I can get 4 pounds for $6.99 or something like that, when like 1 pound of Pink Ladies are like $4.99. So I've been eating the Cosmic Crisp, and then someone brought up Pink Ladies, and so I bought some when they were on sale, and then I ran out. Well, I had like 3 Cosmic Crisp left, and I cut it up, and I was like, okay, well, eat this, save. I had 1 Pink Lady left. I was like, save that, because you've got these Cosmic Crisps. That's your last one that was on sale. It's not on sale anymore. And I take a bite, and it just tastes like crap. And I thought to myself for a second, I was like, dang you, Ashley. Why are you forcing yourself to eat something that you don't even like right now? Like I literally, it's not that you always need to eat things that you quote unquote like, but I was literally having a moment of like, why am I even eating this other than I'm hungry? It was like when I have a Pink Lady apple right here. So it was like, no. And I put the other apple aside and threw it away and was like, I'm going to eat the Pink Lady. Like this has become a pattern in my life where I'm only worthy of something if it is on sale, and that like I'm constantly settling or pushing through or making it a blanket statement about all things in life. So, I know it was like a random tangent, but it's like we have to pay attention to those things because it shows up everywhere. It's not just about like religion or do you love Jesus? Do you not love Jesus? Do you pray? Do you not pray? It's about like, do you force yourself to eat the Cosmic Crisp when you'd rather have a Pink Lady? And it's not going to break you, but you know what I mean? But it is in the same aspect breaking your ability to follow the joy.
Well, and I think you said it well, as if we're very aware and become more aware.
Yeah.
Like when we talked about my Bible readings, I was with somebody this weekend and we were talking about working out. And I was like, I know I haven't worked out in 5 or 6 days since I've been here. And he said he's a man, and he was like, I haven't either, and I have such a routine back home, and I haven't been able to work out, and I feel really fat. And coming from a man, because I was like, okay, he's just verbalizing what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But we
my ear.
become prisoners almost to our routines sometimes. And again,
Not
this could
sometimes.
be-
I don't even want to say sometimes. Like
Yeah.
I feel like always it ventures to that space. And what you said was the awareness. Like if you're not aware, we do become a prisoner. And I think that's what
Yeah.
like Gandhi showed us, was like he was in prison, but was less a prisoner than people who are not in prison.
Yep. And that's what they say about Paul. He wrote half of the New Testament from prison.
Yeah,
Okay,
I didn't know
or-
that. That's so good.
Yeah, it's a lot of what he wrote, like Galatians, it's letters to the people in Galilee. He's in prison. Like a lot of what he wrote, he was in prison. Or Joseph in the Old Testament. He was in prison for 13 years, but still, fulfilled and did these amazing things. So yeah, we don't want to become prisoners to our own
mind.
minds. Yeah. And that
Yeah.
sometimes I do feel like, but then it's so freeing when you can let that go. Like you said about the sugar. I don't ever eat sugar. I'm always like, oh no, if I have sugar or dairy, I'm going to break out, this and that.
Yeah.
And this weekend, I had a piece of salmon that I was like, there is no way that there is not butter on this salmon because it's so delicious.
Yeah. Like this has to be covered in the worst stuff ever.
Yeah, and I ordered a vegan, gluten-free meal. I knew there was no
Yeah.
dairy in it, so I said, no butter on the salmon. And then my friend was like, well, do you want to send it back? And I was like, you know what? No, I don't. I don't want to send it back. It's fine. I'm just going to eat it. Whatever happens, happens. I'm not going to die if I have butter.
Yeah.
It's going to be fine. And I did. I let it go, and I just enjoyed the rest of my meal. Where another time I may have been like, okay, stop the press. I got to send this
Yeah.
salmon back. Wait for it to come back. And I was
I'm going to
just
be
like, let's just
miserable
let it
tomorrow
go.
if I eat this. And then you are miserable the next day.
Yeah, exactly. My skin broke out, but I was like, well, you know what? It was worth it. But that's the thing, is it's freeing not to be so rigid and so married. And I get it. I get guardrails. I feel like guardrails are important,
Are they?
but they shouldn't imprison us either.
But I don't know. It's just a question. Like, are even guardrails important? Are boundaries even necessary? I mean, the more I bring the awareness, what I've seen is when I'm intentionally creating a guardrail or a boundary, it's because I'm coming from a place of fear. So it's actually a barrier to love, because if I'm in fear, I can't experience love. So to me, my experimentation of it is actually none are necessary, and they're all red flags that whatever we're creating a guardrail or boundary or barrier to is actually a barrier to love. So it's like an invitation to look into what are the stories there that are keeping me in fear. Just like a thought experiment to maybe just like invitation, pay attention to when like you feel that something is necessary, because it's not like like a boundary, right? Like we love all these people, so someone could say like a boundary is, but I don't kiss them all. But the question is, would you really feel compelled to make out with everyone just because you love them? So then that's not really actually a boundary that you're consciously thinking of. It's just like a way of being. So I'm talking about when all of a sudden you're like thinking of doing something, but you're in your head contemplating, well, I need to set a boundary here. That's what I'm talking about. It's like those moments that you're like consciously looking at doing something or not doing something, and then weighing, oh, well, is that too risky, or this, because it's all coming from a place of fear and it's blocking the love.
And fear is a huge emotion. And I think it drives a lot of behaviors, and it's a huge barrier to a lot of things too. I always use the term faith over fear. Easier said than done, but
Oh yeah.
it's something that definitely, like with my girls especially, I'm always like, you know what, faith over fear. Sometimes anticipating something bad happen is worse than it actually happening because it may never happen. So
I feel like it's always worse, Joy. Like the lead up, like the thoughts about something versus even if it happens to end the bad way you thought it was going to.
Yeah.
Like the moments you spent ruminating on it were way worse than the actual moment it occurred.
Oh,
I always
100%.
feel like, yeah.
Yeah, as my husband and I are running through the airport, all I could think to myself is, okay, we might have to spend the night in Salt Lake and not fly out till tomorrow. No one's
Right.
going to die.
Right.
It's not the last flight out ever. It's just going to change the plans.
I
But
mean,
in
they
the
even
moment,
literally
you
have
can
rental cars. You could literally drive home if you wanted.
And let me tell you, by the time we sat down, it was.
Like,
But again, that's such a. There was a guy that at Chosen Con that we met. He kept calling them God stories, but that's such a God story that we were able to stay until the very end, and we got to the airport, and they shut the door right behind us. It was just.
well, it's trust, and it's the belief
Yeah.
in perfect timing, and that everything is happening exactly as it's meant to. Right? Like, it's not that you made it just in time; it's that you always made it exactly on time.
And and I kept telling my husband the whole time, I was like, it's going to be fine. We're going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. I don't think he believed me or was feeling that way until we sat down. But
Yeah.
it was, I was just very grateful. I was like, I'm just so grateful we got to be there until the very end. I'm grateful we made our flight. Yeah, it was amazing.
Oh, I'm so happy that you had that experience, and I can't wait for hopefully one day that we get to experience it together, maybe in the Axe or whatever comes.
Can you imagine? I mean,
Yeah.
seriously, it is. I want to do it again. I definitely. I mean, I'm grateful that I got to do it.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to do it again. For sure.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like for sure Patrick matches all the like things that they're usually looking for, like the complexion, the eyes. I mean, he's very European, and then he's also Native American, so he has like this Middle Eastern vibe fully going on. So I would probably be, they'd be like, no, not you, Nordic lady, like, but we'll take your partner for sure. And I'll be like, okay, at least Patrick can get the opportunity.
That's exactly how.
Maybe we'll have to get like
how it
fake
went.
contacts by next time. We'll get like the dark brown eye contacts. We'll dye our hair dark brown. But like the problem is our complexion. You can't hide this pink Norwegian complexion, no matter how tan you get.
That's
Then you
where
turn
I
orange.
was like, like dark spray tan or
Yeah.
something.
But we can never have like the olive tone brown skin though, and that's what they're looking for.
And I'm not going to lie, I was very jealous of the women that did not have to wear head wraps. Like they did, but then there were some women that didn't at all. Like my friend Alicia that I met, she had this big, huge black curly hair, and she didn't cover, and very dark skin, so she didn't cover herself at all.
Yeah.
I was so jealous because that was probably the most annoying part because it kept
I bet.
falling and sliding and it's heavy and whatever. But I was like, that would have been amazing just to have your own free dark hair and maybe just a scarf. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe I would consider dyeing it, but to your point, it would have to be, they'd have to do a really
I
good
don't know.
job.
You'd really have to we'd have to get some work done. It would be more than just the donation for the spots. It would really have to do some work, but
Oh yeah.
well, it's been so wonderful chatting and hearing all about the amazing connections and just like, you can just feel the love radiating and I can't wait to watch the season and like pause Patrick's gonna be like, what are you doing? I'm like, I gotta look for Joy and her husband. pause. Slow-mo.
Telling you, the fact that you found it, I still didn't find it. Even after you sent it to me, I was looking everywhere. People at the wedding were like, they're on Instagram. They're like, where is this? They were all looking
it was
for
on
it.
the stories. Yeah, it was on the
was awesome.
stories. Yeah.
It was
Well,
really
thank
cool.
you.
And I'm going to just stay on top of it. And next time we're just, to do
figure
it
it
together
out.
would be really, really cool.
Yeah, it would be awesome.
Yeah.
hand out baby Jesuses and just make connections left and right. Yeah, I'm excited.
Oh, or Chosen Con, because we were
Oh yeah, we still want to do that. Yeah.
And we were kind of trying to speculate, like, where do you think it would be? When do you think it's going to be? They've got to be doing one more. They have to be.
Yeah. What did people think? Did people have ideas of when they might think or where?
The only thing that one person said is that they think that they're going to go more out west because they've done Dallas, Orlando, Charlotte.
Maybe Seattle. Maybe they'll be right over here where I'm at.
I know. Well, then I thought about it and I thought maybe they would do Utah.
No, maybe. Yeah.
Oh, that would be.
Yeah, that would be
amazing.
cool.
Either way, no matter where it is, I want to go so badly. That,
well,
yeah.
The first inkling you get of anything, like, let me know because we got to start planning.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And a lot of people did do VRBOs.
Okay. Yeah. Because I saw some on there when I was messaging you. So, for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh.
Well, we will stay on top of it.
Thank you so much, Joy, for coming on and having this amazing conversation. And this won't be our last, of course, per usual. And I think it would be fun if maybe we dive more and maybe like pull some verses out of the Bible and just like dive deep in them. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but I was kind of thinking that might be kind of fun for us to do together.
I would love that. Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah. If anyone's listening in and you think that's a good idea, let us know too.
Yeah, exactly.
And so much love, everyone. Thank you for tuning in.